So, I mean this when I say this. Fire Stephanie White yesterday. She said that unprovoked.
It seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love.
Stephanie White is out, and the entire WNBA just felt that tremor. The Indiana Fever didn't just lose another game, they lost their head coach. After a brutal 89-81 meltdown against the Las Vegas Aces, Caitlin Clark didn't hold back, and her leadership may have been the final push. This isn't just about X's and O's, this is a total power shift. The firing of White marks a turning point, not just for the Fever, but for the league. And it all started with a rookie who's already reshaping the future of women's basketball.
Not a good situation right now. And you've now got Stephanie White, a coach who has, let's be honest, she's lost her smile.
Stephanie White is gone, and Caitlin Clark's influence is impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a coaching shakeup, it was a major plot twist in the Fever's story. You rarely see a star player's frustration reach the surface like this, but when it does, it sends a message. Caitlin Clark, the heart and soul of Indiana's franchise, clearly hit her breaking point. And let's not pretend this was about one bad night or a losing streak. This was deeper. Need about leadership, direction, and a coach who couldn't deliver when the pressure hit its peak.
She doesn't have a point in the last quarter. Was it the last quarter and a half? Or was it the last 6 or 7 minutes she didn't have a point?
Let's take it back for a second. The warning signs started flashing during that rough outing against the Golden State Valkyries. Calling the performance flat would be generous. The Fever looked drained, outpaced, and completely overwhelmed. Sure, the scheduling was brutal, but no excuse could cover how disconnected they looked. Most chalked it up to a one-off, just a bad night at the office. But then came the matchup with the Las Vegas Aces, and that one didn't just sting, it left a mark.
Las Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game.
The Fever were in control, up by 10, and then it all came crashing down in the worst way imaginable. Turnovers piled up, execution fell apart, and worst of all, there were zero adjustments from Stephanie White. Nothing. Meanwhile, Becky Hammon on the opposite bench was making moves, shifting defenses, disrupting rhythm, and completely neutralizing Aaliyah Boston in the paint. As the Aces surged, White just stood there, arms folded, offering no answers. By the final buzzer, the comeback was complete. Fever 81, Aces 89, and just like that, everything fell apart.
I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and you know, that wasn't why we lost.
Caitlin Clark has been the heartbeat of this team, the driving force behind everything they do, but even the strongest engines break down when there's no support and too much weight on their shoulders.
Ball to Aaliyah Boston. She was getting her teammates involved. She was taking it to the rim, and she did miss some shots around the rim, but at least she was getting downhill.
Clark may have been struggling with her shot, but she was still the one keeping the offense afloat, creating plays and holding the team together. Then came the second half, and everything unraveled. Turnover after turnover at the worst possible times. You could read it all over her expression. Frustration, disbelief, exhaustion. It wasn't just a cold shooting night, it was a complete breakdown of the system around her.
She has handled it better than I think any celebrity has ever handled any kind of spotlight on them.
When you're the star, the spotlight and the blame always finds you. And to her credit, Clark didn't shy away. After the game, she took responsibility, owning the mistakes and putting it on her shoulders. But let's be real, this wasn't just about her. The offense looked lost. The substitutions made no sense, and there were zero adjustments when it mattered most. That doesn't scream player failure, it screams coaching collapse.
It is not going to work for this team. What Stephanie White wants to do will not work.
White had all offseason to figure this out. She talked about depth, about creating a system that didn't put everything on Clark's shoulders.
And by the way, I'm not saying what Stephanie White wants to do is won't work in general. Won't work in general. Because it has worked. She's had success. But I'm saying what Stephanie White wants to do will not work for this team specifically.
White had the entire offseason to build a better plan. She promised depth, a balanced system, and a game plan that wouldn't leave everything riding on Clark's back.
Defense was getting strung out too much in that first half, so we made some adjustments, and I think it was better.
But when it mattered most, it was deja vu all over again. Lazy play calling, sloppy rotations, and zero backup for the one player carrying the load. Caitlin Clark isn't built to do it all alone, but Stephanie White acted like she was.
I was conceding by not playing fast. What is she saying? Like, this is the most, she essentially exposed that Stephanie White wants him to play slow.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to.
It's on me not conceding.
Becky Hammon, on the other hand, gave a masterclass in coaching. She watched Aaliyah Boston tear them up in the first half, slipping through screens, scoring at will, and said, "That's enough." The Aces adjusted their defense, shut Boston down, and flipped the game on its head. Meanwhile, Stephanie White just stood there, arms crossed, frozen, as everything unraveled in real time. That game against the Aces wasn't just another loss. It was a glaring spotlight on everything broken inside the Fever organization. A superstar abandoned, a coach out of answers, and a team that looked like it had no direction at all. And when you add all that up, it's no wonder this story ended the way it did.
Damn it. She's saying that she needs to stop conceding and play fast, and that doing what the coach wanted them to do was not why they lost.
Caitlin Clark didn't have to storm into the front office demanding change. Her play, her frustration, and her presence said it all. The Fever were at a crossroads. Stick with a coach who kept coming up short, or put their faith in the superstar who is the future of this franchise. The decision wasn't hard. Stephanie White's dismissal wasn't just about a few losses. It was a statement. The Fever are done settling for less. And now, it's Caitlin Clark who's carrying the torch. The only question left is, where will she lead them next?
We are only 3 games removed from the New York Liberty game where she had 7 threes. She had 3 in 38 seconds. Like, that was only just last week that all of that happened.
Caitlin Clark, a name that carries real weight. She's not just the face of the Indiana Fever, she's their heartbeat, their engine, their everything. But when one player is asked to carry more load than anyone else in the entire league, something's bound to crack. And lately, that pressure, it's starting to show.
I think what I'm worried or concerned about, and what a lot of fans are concerned about, we don't want to see Caitlin Clark lose her confidence on the court.
Clark isn't just the centerpiece. On most nights, she's the entire playbook, scoring, facilitating, dictating the pace. It all flows through her. When the system clicks, it's poetry in motion. But when it breaks down, you end up with nights like the one against the Aces. 8 turnovers, and not just routine mistakes. These were momentum killers, coming at the absolute worst times.
She didn't even say it's Chrissy Sides. She's just admitted it. That the coach does not want her to play fast.
Now let's break down those turnovers for a moment. Were they all Caitlin Clark's fault? Not exactly. She's being asked to do everything. Run the offense, create her own looks, and cover for a system that gives her little to work with. It's like asking a chef to prepare a gourmet meal blindfolded. Eventually, something's gonna spill, and when that pressure keeps piling up, the mistakes are inevitable.
Fire her yesterday. And the reason why is not that Stephanie White is a bad basketball coach. It's not that Stephanie White is a bad motivational speaker. It's not that Stephanie White has done a bad job defending her players.
But here's where things start to get complicated. With star power comes responsibility, and Caitlin Clark gets that. She's taken accountability even when the odds were stacked against her. That's what leaders do. But come on, how much weight can one player carry before it finally breaks her? Remember all the preseason buzz about the Fever's so-called depth? Stephanie White couldn't stop praising it. "We've got the pieces," she said. "We've got the depth." Really? Because based on what we've seen on the court, it doesn't look like it at all.
It's that Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark fundamentally have different understandings of the sport of basketball. Not even different understandings. What Stephanie White wants to do is not going to work for this team.
The reality? Stephanie White sold fans on a vision, but what they got was a disaster. This offense is stale and predictable. Slip screens that don't confuse anyone. Plays that leave Caitlin Clark carrying the entire load while everyone else just watches. It's like a bad rerun that never gets better. And don't even get started on her rotation calls. Brianna Turner over Dantas? Turner logs 6 painful minutes and looks completely lost, while Dantas doesn't even touch the court. Fans are baffled, analysts are confused, and the Fever stuck in chaos.
The Aces came out, they changed some of their defensive schemes, and they made it hard for the Indiana Fever.
And there's Stephanie White on the sidelines, arms folded, motionless, doing nothing as the game spirals out of control. No changes, no urgency, just silence. Meanwhile, fans are yelling at their TVs. Analysts are dragging her on live broadcasts, and Caitlin Clark? She's out there trying to put out a fire she didn't start.
Stephanie White benched Dantas for the entire game tactically, and said Bree Turner was on for defensive reasons. I'm sorry, Bree Turner couldn't guard Aja Wilson any better than Dantas could.
Now look across the court, Becky Hammon, the complete opposite of Stephanie White. Focused, tactical, always one move ahead. That Aces game told the whole story. Aaliyah Boston dominated the first half with easy layups off slips. So what did Hammon do? She made a simple switch, adjusted the defense, and just like that, Boston was erased in the second half. While Hammon was making moves, White stood frozen, arms crossed, as her team crumbled right in front of her.
And she's just confirmed it. We've hired a freaking snake oil salesman as a coach.
Hammon's adjustments didn't just take Boston out of the game, they completely exposed White's failure to respond. And here's the brutal twist. With Boston neutralized, everything fell back on Clark's shoulders. Already stuck in a shooting slump, now she had to go up against a defense laser focused on shutting her down. No support, no backup, just Clark, forced to do it all while the coaching staff offered nothing in return.
That is the first time that she's done.
This wasn't just another L in the win-loss column. It was a masterclass in coaching contrast. While Becky Hammon put on a clinic in adjustments and leadership, Stephanie White's flaws were exposed in real time. Hammon's strategy didn't just win the game, it highlighted everything White failed to do.
Caitlin Clark had one turnover till Bree Turner came on the floor and was just turning it over constantly.
Caitlin Clark isn't just out there hooping. She's holding the entire team together with sheer will. The shooting slump, the turnovers, the visible frustration, they're not just individual struggles. They're the byproduct of a system that demands everything from her and offers almost nothing back. Firing Stephanie White might feel extreme to some, but let's be real, this was long overdue. The Fever don't just need a coach, they need a leader who can ease the pressure on Clark, build a real offense, and stop expecting her to carry the franchise on her back. Because let's face it, this current setup, it's not built to last.
And I mean this sounds like this is Caitlin Clark coming out for the first time and saying, I want to run fast, coach doesn't.
The story has officially changed. Caitlin Clark isn't just the star player doing everything she can to win. She's the one who held up a mirror to the franchise and made them face their own dysfunction. She didn't just lead on the court, she forced accountability. That's not just talent, and that's real leadership. That's influence.
It's a disappointing one. It is a disappointing.
And now here we are. Stephanie White is gone, and Caitlin Clark is still holding it down. The real question is, can the Fever finally build a system that actually supports their franchise player, or will they keep leaning on her to perform miracles every night? This team is officially at a turning point, and every move from here on out revolves around Clark. If that Golden State blowout was a warning sign, the Aces game was a complete breakdown. Let's not sugarcoat it. This was Indiana's low point of the season. Not a single free throw attempt in the first half. 0. How does that even happen? No drive, no toughness, no attacking the rim. It wasn't just a bad loss. It was a team waving the white flag.
So many fans are asking, what is going on?
And then came the turnovers. 18 of them. That handed the Aces 28 free points. Now compare that to the Fever, who forced 13 turnovers but only converted them into 16 points. That kind of gap, it's how you lose winnable games. And Stephanie White, she had no solutions. That's the most painful part. This was a game the Fever should have taken. They controlled it early, even built a double-digit cushion. But once the fourth quarter hit, it all unraveled. Again, careless mistakes, 0 in-game adjustments, and yet another late-game meltdown. Yes, Caitlin Clark struggled after halftime, but how much of that was her? And how much was the broken system surrounding her?
Stop telling us to play faster. Stop telling us to do this. We're doing what the coaches are asking us to do.
This wasn't just another rough night. It felt like a breaking point for the fans, for the analysts, and maybe even for Caitlin Clark herself. The frustration had been simmering, and this game, it was the explosion. You could hear it in the post-game tone. Stop telling us to play faster. Stop telling us to do this or that. We're running the plays we're given. We're following the plan. So now what? The Fever find themselves in a brutal position. Playoff hopes, barely alive, and the road ahead, a nightmare. The Storm, the Sparks, another round with the Aces, and don't forget the Golden State Valkyries. This stretch is a minefield, and right now, Indiana doesn't look built to survive it.
It's a really not good situation.
But here's the bright side. Stephanie White is gone. That means a clean slate, a fresh opportunity to rebuild something better. The Fever don't just need a new coach. They need a leader who can give this offense structure. Someone who won't leave everything on Caitlin Clark's shoulders, because let's be real, this isn't only about Caitlin. It's about a broken system, a team with potential that's been wasted. Names are already being tossed around. Maybe a coach known for player development, or one who thrives in game making real-time adjustments. Whoever steps in, they've got a massive challenge ahead. And Clark, she can absolutely bounce back. Her talent isn't in question. She just needs support, a plan, and leadership that knows how to use her strengths without burning her out. Give her that, and she'll silence every critic. But here's the real question. Did Caitlin Clark just save this franchise by forcing the reset? Or is the Fever's dysfunction too deep to fix? Time will tell. But one thing's certain, this is a defining moment for Indiana. Whether it's a turning point toward greatness or another chapter in disappointment, we're about to find out.
Like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe she has essentially come out and said, man, stop telling me to play faster, it's not me.
Stephanie White's dismissal isn't just a coaching change, it's a statement. The Indiana Fever are officially betting everything on Caitlin Clark's future. It's bold, it's defining, but is it the right call? Will this move fix the real issues behind the scenes? Or is it just the beginning of even more chaos? Where do the Fever go from here? Let us know your take in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in for more breaking updates.